Welcome, my dear students, back for another lecture of the labor union. And share the screen and go just right now to talk about what the meaning of the nature of the labor union and what the meaning of the labor union. So, like you see here, the nature of the union, it's like a labor union is defined as workers banding together to meet common goals such as better pay or benefits and promotion rules. In the United States, 11.9% of American workers belong to unions. So it's not that very big percentage. Like it's in the United States, only almost 12% only. And we said another video, like it was in the peak was in in the 40s, and they went down from 20% in 1983 into 11.9%. In this section, we'll discuss the history of the unions and so on. So we'll go first for what the meaning of the union or the history of the unions. Trade unions were developed in Europe during the Industrial Revolution, where the employees had little skills and thus the entire power was shifted by the employer. So it's there to control the power which is there for the employer himself and to give more rights and more advantages into the employee. The employee, we said before that we have employer, who is the boss. This is the employer, who is the boss, employer, and we have employee. So it's given to give the employees more power in that. The first local union in the United States were formed in the 18th century, the form of the National Labor Union. The National Labor Union formed in 1966 paved the way for labor organizations. The goal of the National Labor Union was to form a national labor federation that could lobby governments for labor reforms on behalf of the labor organizations. Its main focus was to limit the workday to 8 hours. Here, so the first thing this were doing, or these unions, is just to make the work not more than 8 hours a day. It has been supporters, it excluded the Chinese workers and only made some attempts to find the rights of the African Americans and female workers. The National Labor Union can be credited with 8 hours workday, which was passed in 1862 because of the focus of the government reforms rather than collective bargaining. Many workers joined the Knights of Labor in 1880. Later on, this is the origin of the labor union. Okay, the National Union, besides focusing on legislative changes, also does the following: lobbies in government of workers' rights laws, resolve disputes between unions, help organize national protests, and also work with allied organizations and sponsors programs of support the unions. This is the last stage. This is the last stage of the unions. And we don't want to go in the past part of the history so much because here is too much to say in this part. The dates of the history is not our focus in this area actually. Labor Unions Law. What is the Labor Unions Law? The Railway Labor Act, RLA, 1926, originally applied to railroads, and in 1936 was amended to cover the airlines. So, was adjusting to cover the airlines. The act received support from both management and unions. The goal of the act is to ensure no disruption of interstate commerce. The main provision of the act includes alternative disputes resolutions, arbitration, and mediation to solve labor disputes. Okay. However, any disputes must be resolved in the manner before strike can happen. So try to finish any problem before any strikes goes on. In 1935, the Wagner Act, sometimes called the National Labor Relations Act, was passed, changing the the way employer can react to several aspects of unions. The Wagner Acts had a few main aspects like the following. Employers must allow freedom of association and organization and cannot interfere with the restraints or coerce employees whom from a union. Employers must allow freedom. So here the employers must allow freedom of association and organization. Second, employers, which are the owners of the business, may not discriminate against employees. Third, an employer must bargain collectively with representation or the representatives of the union. So he must go for bargaining with them. The National Labor Relations Board oversees this act, handling with complaints that may arise from this act. Then the Taft-Hartley passing by. So these are the main things. Here we go to it. The major acts which regulate the unions. The Railway Labor Acts, the first one, covers railroad and airlines, alternate dispute resolution methods instead of striking. So instead of the worker strike, there might be ways to dispute, other ways to dispute. So it originates these ways to dispute. Norris Act, as a result of Yellow Dog contracts, barred federal courts from issuing injunctions against non-violent labor disputes. The Wagner Act, after this, allowed for freedom to join a union without interference. May not discriminate against union employees. This is the boss. Set collective bargaining rules. Also, Taft-Hartley Act, amend Wagner Act. So Wagner Act, this is amended, means adjusted, some adjustments in Wagner. Focus was on unfair practices by the union. The last one was Landrum Act. This Landrum Act required unions to hold secret election and financial reporting of unions. What about the unionization process? How it looks like, the unionization process. For the unionization process, there are one of two ways in which unionization process can begin. First, the union must contact several employees and discuss the possibility of union. Or employees may contact a union on their own. So the union will contact the employees or the employees will contact the union. Union will then help employees gather signatures to show the employees want to be a part of union. To hold an election, the union must show signatures from over 30% of the employees of the organization. To hold an election, there must be 30% signatures of the employees who are working in an organization. Once the signature are gathered, the National Labor Relations Board is petitioned to move forward with a secret ballot election. An alternate to the secret ballot election is the card check method. Card check method, in which the union organized provides the company with authorization cards signed with a simple majority. The employer can accept the cards as proof that the employees desire a union they're organizing in their organization. So that means that they need a union. The unionization process is here. First thing, employee dissatisfaction. Union contacts employees or employees contact the union. These are summing up back the steps of unionizing, the unionization process. Second, initial organization meeting. Initial meeting with the union to gather employee support. The signature, we said 30% must sign. We said 30% must sign. Third, signatures. Must have 30% of employee signature to move forward with the unionization process. secret ballot, the fourth step, elections or card check method. Once 30% of the signatures are gathered, a secret ballot election is administered by the National Labor Relation based board. If the company does not accept the card check method, again, once 30% of signatures are gathered, a secret ballot election is administered by the National Labor Relation. Finally, voting and contract. If the votes is yes, 51 of the majority, the National Labor Relations Board certifies the union as the legal bargaining representative of the employees. So once we get 51% of the people said yes to the union to represent them, then union will come to represent these people in front of the employer. There are some concerns, but we will go first to the unionization process and put a question here about it. We'll put a question about it. Let us go for our question and we'll say discuss the unionization process. Discuss the unionization process. Like I told you before, here is the question. And we'll take these lines here like this and just put it here. And this is Control and V. Discuss the unionization process. Here is our question now. Discuss the unionization process. And the question answer, like I showed you here just now, it is these steps. Sorry about that. Sorry about that, guys. It's these steps like we said here right now. Employees dissatisfaction, union contacts employees or employees contact the union. The second step, initial organization meeting, then signatures of the employees. At least 30% of the employees sign that the union represent them. Then the secret ballot election, then voting and contracts. If in the voting 51% said we want this union to represent us as employees, then that will happen. This will be okay. Again, I will leave around 5 minutes for this question to be answered. Discuss the unionization process, and the answer, like I told you, it's here. This is the answer of the question. Discuss the unionization process. Here is the answer of this question. How it goes to formulate a unionization. Stay here around 5 minutes to get your answer, guys. You can send it in the chat box or write it inside your notebook. That's fine. These are the unionization process, like I said. Okay, my dears, that were the steps of the unionization process. Now, and this repeated actually, things that should not be said to the employees during the unionization process, not to be said by the employer. So the first thing is written with a discharge or punishment. So not to be said by the boss to the workers while the unionization process is going on. And we had talking about these steps before. One of them is that the boss should not treat or with discharge or punishment or dismissing the workers if they join the union. Or the boss should not treat to terminate because of unionization. As example, he tell them, if you join a union, I will terminate your contracts. No, the boss or the manager or the employer should not do this to the employee. Third, threaten layoff, loss of job, benefits of salary because of unionization. Also, this no. Fourth, threaten them, the boss treat the workers to shut down business because of unionization. You will tell them, okay, because of unionizing, I will put the system down and I will put the business down. I'm not going to work anymore. In that case, also, he shouldn't treat them like this. Also, prevention of member solicitation during non-working hours. Also, questions about union matters, such as how employees will vote in the election. So he doesn't ask them any question about how many one will vote because there's secrets of elections. Or secrets also because the elections, the rate of the elections itself, we don't want anything to affect it. So the manager might affect it by even asking is not nice and is also things shouldn't be done. So these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 squares, like you see here, or rectangulars, it represents the things that the employer or the owner of the work should not act or do it in the unionization process, particularly threatening the workers to lose their jobs. This never be right. It's not right to do like this. So these are now a question, and I will go now here, and I will say, on the spot, actually, I will say, what are the things not to be done through? What are the things should not be done by the employer through or during unionization process. What shouldn't he do? While what are the things should not be done by the employer during unionization process? And this is the question now. And actually, I will take this font and put this font with the same. Sorry about that. Control and Z. And here we'll go to here and just take the brush and take the whole question like this way. And here it is. What are the things should not be done? And here, Control and C. And then this is our question now. Second question today. What are the things that should not be done by the employer during unionization process? What are the things should not be done during the unionization process? And the answer of this question, like you saw here, guys, is these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rectangulars. Those are the things which not to be done while 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Shall say here around a few minutes to collect your answers. Please write these answers in your notebook. Write it inside your notebook. Thank you so much. We'll be back after 5 minutes. I'm waiting here for your answers, to get your answers. Thank you so much. I just want to collect it. Okay, guys.